He is the senior editor at MMAfighting.com. Luke Thomas joins us now. And Luke, obviously, you got the big one tomorrow night in Sacramento, but then, we're getting ever so close, a couple weeks away from the return of Ronda Rousey. She's going to try to get back her belt. She thinks it's hers. When she takes on Amanda Nunes, the champion right now at 135 pounds. What are you hearing out of first Ronda Rousey's camp as we get closer and closer to fight time?
Well, I can tell you they're doing a very good job of not talking to anyone like me. They are, and this is bizarre to me. They are assiduously avoiding the MMA media. Now, you hear certain things, but it's just hard to understand and know if it's real. You know, Ramona Shelburne did a piece on ESPN and had some good things, it had some bad things I think I liked about it and things I didn't. But one of the things you're seeing is, who is she talking to? She's not talking to Brett Okamoto at ESPN. She's talking to Ramona Shelburne. She's not talking to MMA media at all. Maybe she has an issue with this. Maybe she just wants to talk to the biggest people imaginable in these various sports outlets. I don't know. We're not necessarily hearing a whole lot from that, but what you can hear from Ramona Shelburne is she is living this kind of monastic life ahead of her 207 fight, which is probably to some extent, I think, the right idea. Get away from all the distraction, get away from all the heavy promotion that she used to do, all the extra work that may have gotten in the way of what the real focus of her life was, which was fighting. I think there are probably some things to question about the larger strategy, but in terms of getting ready for a fight against Amanda Nunes, that sounds about right.
Do you think this could be by design by the UFC and Dana White himself? Just be this kind of shroud of mystery with Ronda, and we get more and more amped going, wow, what's her mental state? What's her physical state? We haven't seen her. We haven't heard from her. Does this kind of build up the suspense even more?
It might to some extent, but I don't think this is their first choice. I think their first choice would be,
get her
if
out
it was possible, get her out there talking to everyone imaginable. Like, the more promotion you do, the better it'll be for you to some extent anyway. I mean, maybe that has diminishing returns too, and maybe that's why she's not doing it this time, because you saw what that looked like at UFC 193. But I think if they had their way, she would absolutely be getting out there and doing media. Like, I can't confirm this, but I've heard that her participation during fight week, which is not next week, but the one following, is going to be extremely limited. I don't think she's going to participate at the press conference. She might not even do an open workout. That's not confirmed yet, but that is what I am hearing. So if that's the case, like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, that's the best way to promote this. I think in the end, it'll still sell because, hey, it's Ronda Rousey, one of the most important athletes in the sport. Don't get me wrong. But that's probably not the UFC's first choice.
Luke, I know you've heard the same reports that apparently she's walking around at 140 weeks in advance of having to get down to the 135 limit. So it sounds like, from what we hear, that she's in great shape. We know we have the new division now at 145. Does this mean, when you hear those reports, that Ronda is still bent on staying at 135 and maybe not moving up to 45 one day for that cyborg fight that everybody wants to see someday?
Well, I'd love to ask her in 2 weeks. We'll see if that happens. But I think this is probably what she's doing. Number one, what could be more important than winning at 207? If you don't do that, everything else falls to pieces, because she probably just won't keep fighting if that happens. So let's assume that that's her first focus. And everyone has asked me. I actually interviewed Holly Holm about it today. I was like, here's Rousey at 207. Here comes you at 208. You can kind of see the writing on the wall here. And she said she wouldn't necessarily, of course, turn anything like that down, but she wasn't particularly focused on it either. I think it's obviously a possibility that she could go up to 145. Maybe Holm goes back down to 135. Who knows? But it's a lot that has to happen. Look, Holly Holm has to fight Jermaine Deradami, who is a beast. Let me assure you, she's a beast. And Amanda Nunes is too. Maybe we favor Ronda Rousey to win. To your point, I didn't see her train, but we saw her on the Conan O'Brien show. She clearly looked like she had been working out tremendously, and I think she'll come back and she'll look amazing one way or the other. But hard to say what the future holds with her, man. It is a tough call.
And very quickly to the champ, and you're right, we just kind of overlook Amanda Nunes, the Lioness here. What's your vibe of her as she goes into her first title defense?
Yeah, I think she will perform very, very well, or at least she will do the things in the training room that will give her the opportunity to. Maybe she duffs it in the end, but I've talked to her a couple times during this camp. She has sounded phenomenal. She has looked phenomenal. She believes that at every camp, the kind of investment in training around judo, because she just knew at some point she was going to fight Ronda Rousey, is now all going to pay dividends. The chickens are going to come home to roost, and she's going to be ready for it, So she believes that she is poised not merely for greatness, but this very one opportunity that she's been doing her homework for years. So, Ronda Rousey looks ready, Amanda Nunes looks ready, and I think we're ready. That should be one hell of a scrap. on December 30th.
2 weeks from tonight. Circle it on your calendars. Luke Thomas, check him out, MMAfighting.com. Thanks for the time and the information as always, Luke.
Thanks, guys.